guys, I'm Kat. Welcome back to my channel, Catadactyl. Today I am doing a really different video to what I would normally do, and it's Am I Well Read? So this is actually a concept that I have been thinking about a lot lately, over weeks, maybe months. This is actually my third time filming this video because I feel like I would film it and then I would think about it over the next few days and be like, oh, I forgot to mention that, or oh, I think that that's really important, or oh, actually, like, my mind has really changed about that. I also brought this topic up at my book club in Hiroshima, and we had an interesting discussion there about some of the elements. So let's go ahead and get into what I mean by well-read. Being well-read means that you have knowledge that you accumulate from reading on an array of topics. And that is really important, the diverse way in which you read. I've always thought I've been a really diverse reader, whether it's reading short books or big books or male authors or female authors, or like old classics or contemporary authors or main characters from all over the sexual spectrum, just basically anything you could think of, trying to read all the different kinds of everything. And then two things happened recently. The first was that I started watching the lovely Sophie at Portal in the Pages, and she's doing an Around the World challenge where she's trying to read a book from every country over the next year, maybe year and a half or 2 years. She has brought so many great works in translation to my attention. So she got me really interested in reading books that were not originally published in English. So that was kind of the first thing that happened. And the second thing that happened was while I was watching Simon from Savage Reads, he was talking about a book that he really loved. Sorry, my dog. That he really loved. Are you done? I'm gonna say hi. Say hello. He's jealous of the camera. Thank you, thank you. So Simon was talking about a book that he really loved from Australia, and it was really hard for him to get a hold of it. And I have found this to be the case a few different times when I've tried to buddy read with people from different countries, or when I've tried to read a book that is from outside the US and I can't get it on the Kindle, and I also can't get it shipped to Japan because shipping alone is $30. The struggle of reading books that are outside of the US and UK market was really brought to my attention when he was talking about it. So between Simon and Sophie, when I started thinking about these things, I was like, oh, well, maybe because I try so hard to be diverse in a lot of other areas of my reading, maybe I've managed to completely escape the machine that is the US and the UK publishing industry. You know, like maybe I've completely just not listened to them at all. And let me tell you, not the case. I am a sucker, apparently. So actually, I was really shocked and I was really upset for a few days when I went back and I went through all the books I read in 2017, and 80% of them were from the US, 10% of them were from the UK, and 10% were from all other countries around the world. And I was really upset by it because I can't even imagine all of the books that I've been missing out on. I can't even fathom it. So I guess I want to just take a minute and talk about why I find it problematic that the majority of the books, like 90% of all the books I'm reading, are from the US and the UK. So one of the reasons has to do with who is working in the publishing industry in the US and in the UK. The Guardian has actually published 2 articles, which I will leave linked down below. So basically, the articles break down like this. In the UK, about 90% of the people working in the publishing industry would term themselves as middle-class white British. In America, that number is 80%. That is crazy that all of the people suggesting, vetting, publishing, editing books are white. You're reading books that have largely been pushed through a system which is keyed toward a white audience. And that just really bothers me. Another problem is that the US and the UK tend to dominate even within the English publishing world. So for instance, the US dominates Canada, and the UK tends to dominate Australia and New Zealand. And there have actually been groups formed, coalitions essentially, to back publishers that are publishing Canadian, New Zealand, and Australian writers within their own country, because there are like exorbitant taxes when you export back to your own country like if you were published in the UK but you were originally from New Zealand, to export the book back to your own home country would be more expensive than if you just published there. But through publishing pressure, you're kind of forced to do it to the UK or the US, which is also vastly problematic. Anyway, so when I figured it out, I was like, oh, maybe it's fine, because in 2018 I've been watching Simon, I've been watching Sophie, I've been like more cognizant, and it breaks down like this: 70% US, 20% UK, 10% anywhere else. So no, it's a huge problem, and it's not getting better. Clearly, the books in my house are largely from the US, and if I don't be very aware of what I'm bringing in and what I'm consuming, exactly who is publishing it, who the author is, where they're from, what their background is, nothing will change. I'm going to still have that 80 to 90% is from the US and the UK. So I was feeling absolutely kind of shit about myself at that point, because I was like, oh my god, there's no way for me to bring in more people because the shipping is really expensive on a lot of the stuff, which is one of Sophie's complaints, and also I can't do the Around the World challenge because of time and money and stress. So I came up with 3 things that I'm going to try to stick to April and onwards, and I'm hoping to vastly improve my global diversity in my reading. So number 1, I'm going to be very cognizant of where my books are coming from, especially from the US. If they're from the US, they have to be a highly anticipated release or a book that I already have upstairs in my library. So in that regards, US is kind of going to take a little break unless it's a book that I really, really want. For example, Circe by Madeline Miller, April 10th. I will be getting that April 10th, and I will be reading it April 10th and 11th. So, sorry, I'm not a saint. I need that book. Additionally, number 2, every month I'm planning to have 2 TBRs. One TBR is of books that are in translation. So I will try to read at least 5 books every month that are translated where the first language was not English. And I think this is a really good way to increase diversity and make sure that it's not dominated by countries that are originally in English but just not the US. And the second TBR I'm going to have is English works, and then broken down into from the US and from the not US. So for the US, I really want to hold myself accountable, so I'll be like, I'm reading this one, but it's because it's really highly anticipated or I already own it. And I really like BookTube because it's a way of holding myself kind of to my own standard. So I don't know exactly how much it is on the reader to determine a book's worth. Like, if the author is from one place and they're writing about another place and they never experienced it themselves but they really felt that way, or their ancestors were from there, or it's fiction so they could write about anything. I'm not trying to get into all of that because I tried the first few times to think about it in that terms and I just got so bamboozled by that, because some authors are just all over the place. Born one place, moved to another place, had awards, that country likes them, claims them as theirs, and then they move something else, write something else that's great, and they're claimed in that country. It's just, no. So 1 TBR for translated works, 1 TBR for English works, of which I have to kind of justify any US books that I'm reading. And number 3, I will absolutely be reading multiples from the same country. If this is not the Around the World challenge where it's 1 book from 1 country. I live in Japan, I study Japanese literature, I love Japanese literature. My husband works in a Japanese high school where there is an English library that has many translated works from Japan, so a lot of it will be Japanese and I'm totally fine with that. So, to answer the big question of this whole video, do I think I'm well read? In a lot of terms, yes. Does it matter? Not really, no. But it is a good frame to look at where my gaps are. And I have been made really aware of the fact that I have huge gaps in my global knowledge. Like books that are in translation or authors that don't write in English. And authors that are outside of America. You know, just, whoo, yeah. I'm working on it. I want to hear more voices from more places, and I want to learn more things that I don't know about, fill in my history gaps, because that's another problem that I'm hoping to remedy, because just, I feel like, especially with things happening in America right now, I don't need to focus on America. I should probably focus on everywhere else except America, if that makes sense. So I just really want to fill in my gaps and become more globally well-read. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? I would love to have a conversation. I've been thinking about this for so long, and I'm honestly a little nervous to even make this video because I'm sure that I didn't explain some things well, or I left some things out, but I've tried to encompass all the things that I've been thinking, and I hope that I gave you some food for thought. Also, if you guys would like to suggest any books to me that are from not America or in translation, that would be really excellent. I'm open to everything. So, yes. Whew. Sorry it's kind of ranty, but I just really wanted to get it out there. So this finishes up this video. Please let me know what you thought. I'd love to hear your comments down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. And please look out, the next videos upcoming are my April TBR English works and my April TBR translated works. So I will talk to you later. Toodles! Bye!